Hi everyone, Fodero here. First, I want to thank everyone so much for blowing up my last guest on video. Since I know you guys like that kind of content, I thought I'd work on another Disney passion project surrounding male and female relationships. Today, we're going to be talking about why Meg from Disney's Hercules is a true hero. In the film, Zeus says that the measure of a true hero is not by the size of his strength, but by the strength of his heart. But what is strength of the heart for a woman? What unique ways does a woman manifest the heroic ideals in a way that only she can? And how does it complement the strength of a man's heart? I'm going to take you through every Meg scene to explain just that, so you can observe her character's evolution throughout the film. Let's jump in. If you watch the film, you know that Meg sold her soul to Hades, god of the underworld, in exchange for the life of her lover. After her lover betrayed and abandoned her, she was cursed to serve a man who cared so little for her, he'd gladly put her in dangerous situations like this one, serving as his envoy to monsters like the River Guardian. At her introduction, she's so defensive around men, she dismissively turns down aid from Hercules, despite her obvious helplessness in this situation. Does she sincerely feel safe in the clutches of a monster? Or does she trust men so little that she feels no safer with Hercules around? Is she unable to perceive his sincere goodness despite clearly gauging the River Guardian's sincere creepiness? My guess? She takes comfort in the Guardian's evil and perversion because they validate her current feelings about men, whereas Hercules' concern and heroics directly challenge her preconceptions. She's simply willing to physically endanger herself rather than risk being proven wrong. Luckily, she gets out of this predicament with her body and ego intact thanks to Hercules, but suddenly does a 180 to her previous coldness by flirting with him. Did Hercules' selfless heroics charm her feminine heart? Despite her earlier defensiveness, she has no problem verbally and physically leading him along as she cleans herself up, commenting on his rippling pectorals, and getting in close when necessary to play on his manly sensibilities. Or is all of this a defense mechanism, allowing her to keep control of the exchange? The scene immediately after confirms this theory, with Meg claiming to Hades,
"He comes on with his big innocent farm boy routine, but I could see through that in a Peloponnesian minute."
Unfortunately, we have to wait just a little longer into the movie to see Meg's change begin. Soon after his arrival in the city of Thebes, a frantic Meg finds Hercules and begs him to save two boys trapped in a gorge. After Hercules reassures the boys and puts his all into lifting the boulder, we get the first shot in the film of Meg's authentic reactions with no one around. There's no performance. She is genuinely impressed by Hercules' feat of strength and his kind treatment of the disguised pain and panic. Watchers of the film know about the fight that comes next, but for our purposes, we need to focus on the conclusion. After Hercules emerges from the Hydra's claw, the crowd goes wild for his unbelievable heroics, having saved them all from the beast's wrath. While Hades showcases his fiery anger, Meg observes his outrage with satisfaction. This is the first time we witness Meg celebrate the failure of a truly evil man, while simultaneously celebrating the virtue of a truly good man. She stops indulging in her master's disappointment, turning her focus away from evil, in order to applaud and appreciate Hercules. Meg's blinders come down for a moment, and in spite of her prejudices, she acknowledges there may be more to Hercules than the supposed dishonesty of everyone else. Following a montage of monster fights to the tune of 0 to hero, Hades ruminates on his series of failures to kill Hercules, prompting Meg to taunt him. Wonder Boy hits every curve he throws at him, she states. But Meg's arrogance and mockery in her exchanges with Hades are only an advantage to him, because evil men know how to twist anything a woman says to their own ends, and use them as a tool of manipulation, all the while granting their prey the illusion of situational control. He ponders if she is the right curve to throw at Hercules. After stating that she's sworn off manhandling, Hades uses her words as an opportunity to hammer her with her past betrayal, rubbing salt in her emotional wounds and getting her to admit that she learned her lesson about men. She is now once again in the mindset to be puppeteered, especially when Hades offers her freedom in exchange for exposing Hercules' weakness. Like so many manipulators do even today, he convinces Meg that the only way she can be truly free is by regarding all men, whether they seem virtuous or not, as her enemy. To spite them, to trick them, to use their feelings to expose them to danger, to make them vulnerable to evil men. What does it matter anyway? All men are evil, aren't they? So why feel any remorse? They deserve it. Why care which evil man triumphs and which falls? And with this false equivalence, Meg's blinders are once again secured, and she is ready to carry out the will of evil. After Meg sneaks Hercules away from his fangirls for a day out on the town, they enjoy a private moment in a garden where all of Meg's prejudices are shattered once and for all. At first, Meg begins probing Hercules for weaknesses, still consumed by the belief that Hercules is faking his kind nature. While she's focused on asking about physical weaknesses, she seems to completely ignore the weakness and discomfort he exudes with each of her physical advances. A funny thing I never noticed before preparing this video, there's one segment where Hercules adjusts Meg's dress strap after it slips down, and she seems completely perplexed by this gentlemanly display. She states,
Wonder Boy, you are perfect.
As if disappointed that her suspicions about him become less credible the more time she spends with him. However, as Hercules' sincerity continues to work its magic, moments like his clumsy shattering of a statue evoke joy and laughter from her. She can't help trusting that he is who he appears to be, because that kind of authenticity is hard to fake. And with that trust inevitably comes vulnerability. They have an exchange where Meg confesses her distrust of the world out of fear of being hurt. Ironically, in this moment, she is exactly the type of person she claims to fear. The more Hercules trusts her, the more ashamed she feels of her lies, as evidenced by her reaction to Hercules' assertion.
You're not like that.
How do you know what I'm like?
This question sounds both like an admission of her guilt and even more like a genuine yearning for an answer. This has been her problem since the moment she was betrayed. For all her assumptions and supposed certainty, she had lost the ability to recognize the good in men. But Hercules' confession of his feelings for her, his vulnerability, was the moment she began to trust her own judgment of what kind of man deserves her love. After this, Phil swoops in to snag Hercules away, and we have that famous musical number where it doesn't take more than a few minutes for Meg to give in to her feelings for Hercules. This is the turning point for Meg in this story, and what sets her on the path to true hero status. But the first hurdle for women in Meg's position is confronting the evil men who weaponize their pain as a tool of manipulation. When Hades appears to get his intel, he's shocked by Meg's sudden rejection of their deal. Despite Meg's earlier aspersions towards Hercules, she's now offended by Hades even referring to him as some guy. The more Meg lists off his virtues, all Hades can come back with is, he's a guy. As if drawing a clear dichotomy between the old Meg's silly, one-dimensional view of men and the new Meg's uninhibited recognition of what makes a man good. In fact, she holds the good in such high esteem now that she is willing to abandon her freedom to protect it. No longer concerned for her own safety, Meg revels in the fact that Hercules, according to her, has no weaknesses. But just as she had difficulty grasping Hercules' goodness, she also cannot fathom how far evil will go to utilize her, with or without her consent. A master manipulator like Hades knows how to make honest feelings do dishonest work. Because of the love Meg can no longer repress, she unwittingly fulfills the task she was assigned. Hades understands that if the measure of a true hero is by the strength of his heart, the most effective way to defeat him is to break his heart. Hades wastes no time going straight to Hercules with a bound and gagged Meg in tow, knowing it wouldn't take much convincing Hercules to give up his powers in exchange for her safety. If she would give up her freedom to protect him, surely he'd give up his strength for her sake. Once freed, Hades delivers the killing blow to Hercules' spirit, revealing Meg's betrayal. Meg is forced to see how her choices served the very evil she blamed for her past misery, and how they destroyed the good in men she had desired deep down. Now Hercules would be cursed with the same bitterness she once felt. The symbolism of the scene is not lost on most people, especially men. Despite whatever physical strengths men may have, they understand that to love a woman is to place themselves completely at her mercy. To show their vulnerability, they must trust the woman they choose is one who would never exploit it or use it as a weapon against them, because they have no way of defending their hearts once exposed. The only thing that can defend it is a woman. Any betrayal creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. What good is all his strength if he is not even certain what he's fighting for? How can he put his full strength behind a goal if he fears it will be fruitless? Hercules' strength was inextricably tied to his belief that Meg was a virtuous woman. And while that may be the case now, it's seemingly too late to convince Hercules. His heart is broken, and in this state, he shows no regard for Meg or even his own self-preservation. Meg is forced to watch from the sidelines as one of the Titans tosses Hercules around like a rag doll, his will to fight clearly diminished. Meg may not be able to help Hercules herself, but she does the next best thing for now. She calls upon Phil to quickly return to his protege, knowing he could reignite Hercules' passion for being a hero just enough to convince him to put up a fight. Through some quick wit, Hercules manages to defeat the monster, but almost in vain, as he fails to notice a collapsing pillar. Without any hesitation, Meg leaps to his aid and shoves Hercules out of the way, sacrificing herself in the process. There can be no doubt in Hercules' mind anymore. She would not have done that if she didn't love him. While the official explanation is that he got his power back because his deal with Hades was broken, the symbolism of this narrative element serves a deeper message. With his heart mended, Hercules can once again become a man capable of combating evil and protecting what he loves. For now, he must leave her to fulfill that purpose. After single-handedly facing down several evil titans and winning, Hercules rushes back to Meg, uncertain of her fate. Hades has lost, and an evil man with nothing to lose will do anything to drag good men down to hell with him. Just before Hercules arrives, the thread of Meg's fate is cut, and her soul is sent to the underworld, where she will remain isolated and alone forever. However, her love still lives in Hercules, and for the woman he loves, a good man will go to hell and back. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Hades flies into a fit of rage, admitting to his servants that the only reason he lost was because of Meg's noble act. In the ultimate struggle between good and evil, it was the side that was given favor by a woman that prevailed. That is why evil men seek to cut women off from good men. The absence of good men is the most effective way to persuade a woman to serve evil, and the absence of good women is the most effective way to get men not to resist it. Once Hercules arrives, he quickly strikes another deal with Hades, offering his soul in exchange for Meg's. This is exactly what evil men want, to sacrifice the women who are their pawns to bring low the good men who are their true enemies. However, because Hercules too is now in a state where he would die for Meg, his godhood is restored, and both their lives are saved. He is now a true hero. But it's not like this is the first time Hercules has risked his life to save someone. Why didn't he become a true hero after battling the Hydra? Because that's what heroes do, right? It seems simple enough. Too simple, in fact. Which is why he was so confused and upset when, after bragging to Zeus about all the monsters he beat, he's told that he's not a true hero yet. He still lacked understanding about what he was fighting for, beyond his selfish desire to return to Olympus. Only after knowing Meg, after seeing goodness before him, was he primed to become a true hero. He was willing to give up everything to save the good that was Meg, because serving good became everything to him. And if that's the case, Meg achieved the status of true hero before even Hercules did. Only when their goodness was apparent to one another did they become untouchable to evil. This is when Hades truly loses. His cocky demeanor disappears, and he becomes a contrite coward, still trying to weasel one last deal out of Hercules to save his skin. However, his shamelessness causes him to deliver one final insult, albeit unintentionally.
Meg, talk to him. A little schmooze.
Even now, he is still operating under the delusion that he can manipulate Hercules through Meg, which only infuriates the reborn god before he sends the devil flying. With Hades defeated, Meg is finally freed from her bondage and her bitterness forever. And while Hercules deserves credit for running this victory into the end zone, it's only fair to acknowledge that he could never have become the hero he needed to be without Meg becoming the hero she needed to be too. The strength of her heart was so great now, she would have been willing to let Hercules return to Olympus if it meant releasing him to the heaven she knew he deserved. There, the goodness that he embodied could be preserved forever. But her willingness to lose him is exactly what ensures she never would. Hercules understood that it was his love for her that made him the best version of himself. So why would he ever want to live without her? Even an immortal life could not preserve the virtue that necessitated her presence. With complete faith in one another, they no longer feared death or any evil that may come. The strength of their hearts must be united if either was to retain any strength at all. The story of Meg illustrates how skillfully evil men prey on and manipulate exactly the type of women who distrust men most. As distrustful as a woman might be, evil men can lure her into a false sense of security using her own emotions. Hades was the manifestation of evil, so despite being his servant, Meg assumed she had some degree of situational control because he never masked his intentions. She took comfort in his predictably evil behavior, which validated all her prejudices, and so formed a symbiotic relationship with evil to mask her pain. As a result, she formed a relativistic worldview that jeopardized her safety and the safety of others, because if no man is good, it does not matter which one she serves or harms. An evil man needs women to think like this, because if they are ever exposed to virtuous men, evil loses its greatest weapon, the virtue of a woman's protective nature, corrupted and inverted to create a moral haze around evil. If the measure of a true hero is by the strength of his heart, and heroic men's hearts are shielded by women, then turning women against these men is the only way to make them vulnerable. Without virtuous women by their side, these men have nothing to fight for, so their will to fight disappears. There is no reason to resist evil if there is nothing good to protect. The moment Meg sacrificed herself was the moment she became a true hero, because she no longer let her pain blind her to the good that existed in men like Hercules. Meg was so certain in her understanding of goodness, she was now willing to stake her life on it. But unlike her previous betrayal, she knew now that the man she was sacrificing herself for deserved it. She was willing to accept death with no doubt and no remorse. In doing so, she inspired a love that was so great it could make a man punch the devil in the face for her. Meg spent her life shielding her own heart, all the while never realizing that the greatest protection she would ever have would come from shielding the heart of a man. Just as Hercules wanted to protect Meg from the moment they met, she needed to want to protect him too. Reciprocity between virtuous men and virtuous women is a feedback loop. It forms a bond so strong that not even the forces of hell can tear it apart. If the strength of a true hero's heart is powered by love of the good in another, it naturally requires at least two people to survive. Men like Hercules are its sword, and women like Meg are its shield. If evil men cannot defend against the swing of the sword, their only hope at victory is to splinter or take away the shield. So long as the shields of men's hearts never falter, there will never be an evil that the sword cannot defend them from. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, I would really appreciate if you'd hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video around. Also follow me on Gab and BitChute. Links are in the description. Thanks everyone.